are in the design studio of Pete Brock near Los Angeles International Airport in Southern California. Pete has carved an exceptional career designing and racing cars. With Pete is Skip Hess, an outstanding drag racer for over 15 years, whose latest car, named the Revell Kit, is a gas Mustang setting enviable records on the drag strips around the country. Skip's Mustang was the subject of a color feature article in a recent hot rod magazine. First, let's talk to Pete about the design of the Mustang, and in particular the 1969 Mustang. What's different, Pete, about the 69 that makes it so exciting to you?
Well, the 69 is really an evolution off the previous Mustang. It has to retain the Mustang look, and I think this it does very successfully. And I think that one of the big drawbacks of poor vision through the rear quarter has been improved with the new window line. And I think the cars take on a much sleeker appearance from the original Continental roof line. And I think it's totally a very pleasing little automobile. I think that one thing that's really improved the Mustang tremendously is that they're getting into the real low, wide profile tires. And I think the tires have more to do with the appearance of a sporting appearance automobile than anything else. You know, the car becomes half tire, and I think this is really an exciting look to the automobile.
Well, the Mustang seems to be a very successful design concept, Pete. Why do you think so?
What makes the Mustang an excellent design, of course, is its proportion of masses. It's got a long hood and a short deck, and the way the car sits on the wheels, rather large wheels for the short wheelbase, and it gives it a very sporting character. And of course, this is what makes a car exciting. It's not how you put chrome on the sides or what the tail lights look like. This is all detail that augments the total overall design.
What was so different about the way in which the Mustang was conceived?
This is an excellent case of a car starting with sketches before the basic chassis was designed, because really many of the components underneath the car originally were Falcon, and then they were beefed up to the Fairlane components, and the bigger engine was put in it. But this is a car that really started in the design center, not from engineering, because I think the stylists, the exterior designers, are the people who really have a feel for what automobiles should be, you know, where I think looking at the thing strictly from preview drawings, the way engineering does with a cold hard pencil line on white paper, it's a rather impersonal approach, and it doesn't quite have the beauty or the mystique or whatever it is of a pencil sketch, or the excitement of an idea that you originally put down and say, boy, this is really a great way to go, let's pursue this idea. It's impossible to put this idea down in engineering terms and get as excited about it as you can from a sketch. And I think that this is what the Mustang is. It's an exciting automobile that started from a whole sketch concept and then worked back through engineering. But I think this is also one of the things that makes the Mustang an excellent car, is that a very small team did the car, and basically the job was ramrodded by one guy in management to put it through, who's Iacocca, and he knew what he wanted in the way of styling and what the car should be, and he had the right advisors and the right market analysis to tell him what the car should be, and it wasn't a great big team effort. The whole thing about the Mustang was that the public was really ready for it. I believed in sort of the small supercar idea for a long time, and I know when I worked in Detroit, they were still talking big cars, and the time just wasn't right for them to come out with it. But I think Ford was realizing this, the time was ready to bring this type of car out onto the public, and they did it, and they just did one heck of a good job.
Do you think the Mustang has a chance of becoming a classic, Pete?
I think that the Mustang is going to be just like the Model A or the 32 or the 34, which are classic Fords, and some of the great all-time design of automotive design of any country. And I think in 20 years we'll see the same thing, that people will look back on the Mustang and say this is really a classic car, just the way the early Fords were.
Thank you, Pete Brock, for your comments on the design of the Mustang. We'll be talking to Skip Hess and Pete about dragging the Mustang on the other side of the record. Skip, when you get that Mustang out there on the line and the tree starts counting down, just exactly what runs through your mind?
The thoughts are, when that Christmas tree is going down, a red light is a foul, and that means that you're automatically disqualified. It's all over. On the other hand, the first one to leave is going to win because the cars are so close. So you can't be late, but you can't be early. You've got to be right on time. And it takes practice. And I've been driving drag race cars for 15 years, and against the Christmas tree since 1962 when it first came out. I'm early now and then. But as a rule, I'm not very often late.
What's changed on your technique as far as the past few years is getting off the line? Did you find that before you used to really leave early by smoking the tires and knowing that the car wasn't going to go ahead for a while the tires were smoking, whereas now with the new wrinkle wall tires, it's almost 100% traction and you leave the minute you let the clutch out, isn't it?
Well, I've got an automatic.
Right.
So the minute I mash it, the car moves. And I found that I've had to judge my reaction time a great deal different than what I had to. And when they come out with a better tire, I'm going to have to back myself up a little bit more. It's an all-out effort to hold it at 3,000 RPM. I can't bring the RPM up any more than that speed because it'll go right through the brakes.
Will you reach maximum torque with your engine, and how high are you turning it?
Well, I'm using the Ford overhead cam racing engine, and it probably has the capability of 1,000 or 2,000 more RPM than the overhead valve pushrod engines that I'm competing against. But I don't try to use that entire horsepower range. I generally limit the engine to about 8,500 RPM.
Skip, what about driving in competition with others? Do you try to psych out your competitors, or do you drive completely your own race?
Part of the fun is in who you're racing against. If you were just driving against the lights, it wouldn't be anything at all. I think it'd be a routine thing. You get to know the people that who your competitors are, at least the tough ones. You're aware of them. I respect the good driver more so than I do the good machine.
Skip, what's the difference between your car and a funny car?
Well, the difference between a funny car and my Mustang is basically is the fuel.
Well, wheelbase too.
And the wheelbase.
Yes, which makes your car, I think, really a lot more difficult to drive. The higher the speed, the shorter the wheelbase, the trickier the car is to drive, I think.
Well, my Skipper's Critter Anglia was a 90-inch car, and it ran in speeds in excess of 150. And the Mustang is running faster than the Anglia was a little bit, but it's certainly a lot easier to drive at a 108-inch wheelbase. The Mustang is longer than most of the cars that I'm competing against. But on the other hand, I've never had a wasted run due to ill handling.
Skip, I know in our racing that tires are getting to be almost the total thing.
Tires to drag racing is probably more important than it is to road racing, because traction's the whole game in drag racing, where it's just a portion of it in other types of racing. And my car's more critical to tires than most because the engine is only 10% back of the wheelbase, so I don't have good weight distribution. It's more on the front than it is on the rear, which is a disadvantage, so I have the requirement of the best tire I can possibly use.
How about the different strips? Do you find that some strips have a lot better bite than others?
Yeah, Pete, I find that strips, of course, vary a great deal, but I have found that a tire that works good in the daytime, when I say in the daytime, that's with the sun shining and the temperature of the asphalt is above ambient. That tire will normally work at about any track that I have, but as soon as it starts to cool at night, I found that I need a softer tire and a little bit harder tire in the daytime when the track is hot, because the hot track seems to want to take the tire and tear it apart.
Do you augment your traction with any fluid or anything like this, or do you run dry?
Oh, 99 times out of 100 I run dry. There are cases when I do use the paint on rosin compounds when the traction is extremely poor. That's an emergency procedure, and I don't like to use it.
What do you think, Skip, is the most important requirement of a good drag driver?
I feel that a good driver, a driver that's off the line first more times than he is second, is the better driver. And I try very much to be the first one off the line. I hate to lose a race by having to try to catch someone.
Peter Brock, award-winning designer, racer, flyer, photographer, award-winning author, and speaker. At the age of 13, Peter Brock had the moment that would direct the rest of his life. It was a test ride in a just-completed blown MGTC Special, drifting and power sliding over the twisty backcountry mountain roads of California's Marin County. Peter Brock's life was transformed. Brock quickly gravitated to design, winning his class with his chopped and channeled 46 Ford in the Oakland Roadster Show, twice by the age of 18. At GM Styling, Brock drew the sketch, which Bill Mitchell chose as the direction of the 1959 Stingray Racer and the 63 Corvette Stingray. Working directly with Harley Earl, Brock designed the Cadet, his idea for a student's car, as well as many other concepts. In 1961, Brock became Carroll Shelby's first employee and designed the FIA World Champion Daytona Cobra Coupe, along with the Nethercutt Mirage, the De Tomaso P70, the Lane Cooper, and the Shelby GT350 Mustang. At his own company, Brock Racing Enterprises, Brock designed the Toyota JP6, the Triumph TR250K, and the stunning BRE Hino Samurai. Brock to this day performs design and consulting services for clients, and in 2008, Brock surprised the industry once again with the first fully aerodynamic car trailer, the AeroVault. In 1958, Brock left GM to pursue a career as a race car driver. In fitting for drivers at that time, he drove an eclectic mix, including his Cooper Climax, his Lotus 11, a Ford Galaxy, a TVR, and Hino Contessas. Brock was there at the start of the Baja races in 1967. He was a visionary that at times ran a 4-car team. BRE became the West Coast Factory Datsun team, and in their first year of competition, in 1969, won the Pacific Region Championship in the BRE Datsun Roadster. They won national championships in 1970 and 71 with their Datsun 240Zs, and the coveted Trans Am 2.5 championships in 71 and 72 in the BRE Datsun 510s. BRE became the cool place to be. Brock closed BRE in 1973 and founded Ultralight Products, an entity that would become the largest hang gliding company in the world. Brock was a pioneer in the hang gliding industry, and under his leadership, UP won 6 World Cross-Country Flying Championships and numerous championships in Europe, South America, and Japan. Building new types of gliders, Brock drove many of the safety standards that still exist in the industry today. In the early 90s, Brock returned to automotive racing to document the sport, photographing and writing for news outlets around the world. Brock continues to write to this day and has added speaker to his resume, sharing his experiences and knowledge with award-winning books and spellbinding talks.